Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kurtivada. In this video, we will learn about pseudo classes and pseudo elements. So what are these pseudo classes and how they help us in writing some HTML styles and how they are very important for us to style our HTML elements. So let me quickly jump into another slide to understand about pseudo classes and pseudo elements and what are the topics which we cover in this video. So here, let's talk about pseudo classes. These classes helps us to target the elements based on some conditions and their behaviors. So these are classified into three types: structural pseudo classes, link pseudo classes, UI pseudo classes. So we'll talk three of them in this video. I'll explain you each and every type with an example. Let me move into another slide, that is pseudo elements. These elements are something like which will target the specific part of an element. For example, before, after, first letter, last letter, placeholder, all this comes under pseudo elements. We'll talk about pseudo elements as well. So let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code to understand all these different types of pseudo classes and pseudo elements. So first case is something like pseudo classes where it is a structured pseudo classes. So how this structured pseudo classes helps us? So it is mainly for the position. That means whenever we want to add some set of css and we want to add at a specific position, then we can use this particular classes, that is this particular pseudo classes. So now what is the syntax for our pseudo class? So you have to write a selector, that may be any selector. So let me use a selector with colon and some of the name of that particular pseudo class. So now what I can do, first case I'll go with a div tag, and inside this div tag I have a paragraph where this is first para, and let me copy this paragraph, put it over here. Here I have created three paragraphs. Now what I want to do is I want to add some set of styles for this div where the div has the first paragraph. So I want to apply only the styles for the first paragraph. So how can I do that? By using a id selector I can do it. Let me go with id as sample id, and now I'll use this id and I'll target this first paragraph. So what I'll do is I'll just add hash sample id. This is my id selector, and inside this id selector I want to target the first line. So what I'll do is I'll use first child. So here I'll use a color as red. So here the first child can be anything, not only paragraph. You can write h1, h2, any of the text element, and the text inside that will look in a red color. So let me quickly jump into browser and let me reload this. Now you can see where it is targeted for the first element, and the first element is targeted with red color. So now let me go with next one, that is nothing but last child. So I'm going with the last child. Whenever you give this last child, then it will apply for the last child. It will not depend on the element, it will only depend on the last child. That means it will never bother about what type of element you have in the last child. So that's how you can apply your pseudo classes for this. And coming to the next one, like you can apply even for nth child. So inside this nth child you can pass a number. First case is number, let me go with 2. So I am applying for a specific line. So let me go here and reload. So you are going to the second child and it is applying that red color. So let me go with something like 3. Save this and go here, it applies for the third one. So it always targets a particular number of that particular child. For example, here we have 3 childs, so I can pass maximum of 1 2 3 values. And even you can pass, there are some keywords like even. So whenever you pass even, the nth child whose value is an even number, for that particular child this color will be applied. Let me go here, and here you can see 1 and 2. 2 is an even number, so it applies for the second one. Let me go here and just reload. So you have an even number. For example, I have one more line here that is also an even number, which is fourth child. So let me go here and reload, it applied for 2. So that's how you can use this nth child even. And you can even pass odd, which is again a keyword. Let me go here, reload, it applies for the first and third. That means it applies for all the even number of childs and odd number of childs. So that's how you can use nth child. And also you can write something like not operator. So for example, if you don't want to apply for some set of paragraphs, but you want to apply for all the remaining paragraphs. For example, here is my ID, that is sample ID, and I have a class as text blue, something like this, and save this. Now I don't want to apply this particular class, that means a red color, for this text blue, and I want to apply for all the remaining paragraphs. So now what I can do is I can go with this, like, not of, I can pass another selector here. The another selector is class selector. Let me copy this text blue and pass here. So what it will do is, other than text blue, it will apply for all the remaining paragraphs. Let me go here and reload. Now you can see it didn't apply it for the second one because the second one has a class text blue. So let me copy this text blue and put it over here. So now it won't apply for this two paragraphs, and it applies for the first and the third paragraph. Let me go here and reload. Now you can see first and second has been applied. So not will exclude this particular selector and include the remaining parts of the elements. So that's how you can use a not pseudo class. So now let me go with some other pseudo classes. We spoke about first one, that is structured pseudo class. This is the structured pseudo class which will always depend on the position of the element. And now we'll go with other pseudo classes like link pseudo class. So what is this link pseudo class and what are the different ways we can use this link pseudo classes? So link pseudo class is mainly used for anchor tag, and you have a href. Let me use https:// google.com, and let me give a label as Google. So I'll save this. Let me go here and remove this CSS. Now I'll target for this anchor tag and I'll apply different types of pseudo classes. For example, first pseudo class for the element selector, I'm using an anchor tag with hover. So hover is a functional pseudo class. So whenever your mouse moves onto that particular element, we can use hover. So this hover helps us to change the color or the styles of a particular element when a mouse moves over that particular element. So let me use color as green. So when I move my cursor onto that anchor tag, it will show green color. Let me go here and reload. Now you have a blue color by default. Let me move on to that. You can see the green color. So that is about your hover. So now let me go with another one. For example, if you click this and come back, there is a visit happened on this particular link. So whenever there is a visit happened, by default it is showing a blue color. So I don't want to show the blue color. I want to show yellow color. So let me go with a colon visited. If you already visited that link, then it will show a color with yellow. Save this, go here and reload. Now it's shown yellow color. And then let me go with active. So let's understand what exactly the active pseudo class is. For example, I'm clicking on this and there is nothing happening over here. If you see, so there is no color shown on this yellow. I'm holding my mouse, but it is not showing any color. So whenever I want to show a color when I hold that mouse, then you can use a pseudo class called as active. So anchor tag with active pseudo class. Let me apply this color as brown and save this. Go here and reload. Let me click this. You can see the brown color, and when I leave it, it is yellow color, and when I go back and hover, it is not applying that hover. Why? Because whenever you are applying the pseudo classes, it is very important to follow a sequence. Here the sequence is something like, first it should be visited, and then we have to go with the hover, and then we can go with the active. So this sequence should be followed whenever you are writing different types of pseudo classes for an anchor tag, that means link tags. Let me go here and reload. Now let me go here, it is green color, and by default it is blue color, and now I made it to yellow. When I click on this, it is maroon color. When I leave the mouse, then it goes to the another link. So that's how you can use. So the sequence is always visited should be the top one, second one should be hover, third one should be active. So we have to override our anchor tags by using different types of pseudo classes in this sequence. So that's how we can use UI pseudo classes with the link pseudo classes. Now let me go with the third way, that is nothing but UI pseudo classes. These are mainly used whenever we are interacting with the elements. For example, you are using a button and you are interacting with that button, and I want to change that button styles based on the state of that particular button. For example, I have a button and I want to apply something like disabled, and let me show sample. So now what I want to do is, when my button is disabled, what actually it looks like. Let me go here, reload, and you can see a gray color and there is no background, and if you see this, it is like a dumb button. So let me go here. Now what I want to do is, I want to apply some set of styles whenever a button is disabled. So I am using a button selector and I want to apply some set of pseudo classes, and the pseudo class is disabled. When the button is disabled, I want to apply some set of classes. So let me go with the color as red. So I want to apply some styles. Let me go here and reload, and you can see the red color whenever it is disabled. So like that, you can override based on the state of that particular elements. So that's how you can use UI elements or UI pseudo classes. And also we can target with some set of required properties also. For example, if you have a input and the input has required property. So now I want to apply some set of styles for this required. Whenever the input field is required, then I want to change the color to red. So let me use input where I want to have a required, and when it is in required state, let me add a color as red and save this. Now go here, reload. Whenever you type something, it is showing a text in red color. For example, in the same HTML, I'm just adding one input where it is not having a required. Let me save this, go here and reload. When you type here, it is default color, that is black. It is red color, which we have overridden by applying the pseudo class. And in the same way, you can apply for read only as well for an input field. Whenever you are using a read only, it looks something like read only, and save this, go here and reload. Now you can see there is no CSS applied over here, but my cursor is not working as it is in read only. So at that particular time, we can change input with read only, and then let me add some set of border which is of 4 pixel solid black, and save this. Now go here, reload. You can see there is a 4 pixel border added for this particular field. That's how you can use the UI pseudo classes. Whenever there is an interaction of the elements, you can apply some set of CSS or the styles by using this type of pseudo classes. So that's about your pseudo class. And now let me go with a pseudo elements. Let's understand what is pseudo elements. Pseudo elements are something like targeting a particular element position. That means here we are targeting different types of elements based on the positions. Here we are targeting based on the actions or based on the state of the element. But now what we'll do is we'll target a specific position in that element. For example, I have h1 over here. So I want to target the first letter of this h1. So what I can do is I can use a selector, that is element selector, followed by double colon, because we are using a pseudo elements. And hence what I can do is I can write something like first letter, and let me apply the color as red. So if you see, the red color will be applied for the first letter alone. That's how it works. And even you can use last letter and save this, reload. In the same way, we can go with other pseudo elements as well. And other pseudo elements are something like before. So for example, if you want to add some set of content before this particular element, what I can do is I can add a content property where I can add any of the content. For example, I'm trying to add testing space. Here I'm trying to use a content and I'm trying to add something like testing and space. Save this, go here and reload. Now you can see testing CSS. That means this content is coming from CSS and this content is coming from HTML content. So that's how you can use before, and in the same way I can use after, which will append this particular content for this h1 tag. So let me go here and reload. Now you can see the testing has been added in the last. So that's how you can use the content with after and before pseudo element. And also we have something like a placeholder value. For example, you have an input field, and for this input field I have a placeholder. Placeholder is equal to testing, and save this and save this, go here, reload. Now you are seeing a text testing in gray color. I can change that by using pseudo elements. That is nothing but input colon colon and let me add a placeholder, and the placeholder color should be red, and save this. Go here and reload. You can see the red color of that placeholder. So this is also one of the way to change the styles of a particular element by using pseudo elements. And also, let me go with some more examples. For example, I want to add H1 selection. For example, here I'm going to select this and it is selecting in a blue color background. Now I want to select in another styles. For example, I'll add H1 with the selection element, that is pseudo element, and I want to add a color with red. So what it does is it will add a color whatever the text we have selected. For example, I have selected this one, it is adding a color, and when I remove that selection, it removed that color and it went to the default color. So that's how you can use this selection. So these are some of the examples in our HTML pseudo elements. So that's how we can use our pseudo classes, pseudo elements, and different types of pseudo classes and pseudo elements in our HTML for applying different types of styles. That's it for this video. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.